What's up, everybody? So, quick feedback. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Are my slides visible? Perfect. Slides are up, I think. We good to go. All righty. So, how to compete in a saturated category? What's happening in the world is that there have never been as many brands as there are today. If you compare 2011 to 2022 in SaaS, there are 50 times more companies than there were like 10, 11 years ago. And so if you look at any this, you've all seen this slide, how many companies in all kinds of categories. If we zoom into this category, this is like survey tools, so and to the right, we see SurveyMonkey, and Momentive, and Qualtrics and Google Surveys. And there's another 50, 60 survey tools you've never heard of. And why is that? Because if you go to the website, all they say is, build surveys fast and easy and maybe free. They say the exact same things that everybody else. They do the exact same things as everybody else. Well, I already have, Typeform or Google Forms. I don't need anybody else. And that is what is happening. The category kings, the companies who are at the top, who were at the top 10 years ago, are still at the top. The stability of market positions is just astonishing. The staying power, the market momentum. If you think about non-tech like ketchup, Heinz was the king of ketchup, in the 1950s. Still is, still raking in, taking in all the money from the category. So unless you are strongly contrasting against the category leaders, you have no chance in hell, right? People recommend tools they have never used. If you pay attention to social media, LinkedIn and Twitter, and how I know this is that I see a lot of people recommending my company, Winter. Thank you. And I, of course, know who's an actual customer and who's not. Or I see people asking for recommendations for A/B testing tools, a category that I'm intimately familiar with. And what I see is that one small-time freelancer wants to run A/B test on their website, and of course, knows nothing about statistics. And other people say, "Oh, Optimizely, you should use Optimizely." And they have no clue that it costs $150,000 a year, and recommending Anyway, so people use tools to have heard of, and that's everything. And so your job as a marketer is to get inside that very limited consideration sets. Every person for every category of tools has a consideration set of tools in their mind. That's also called mental availability. So being thought of by category buyers in purchasing decisions. And so if you say A/B testing tools, like which three are in your mind? Or CRM, go. CRM for small business. CRM for enterprise. Salesforce. So people have these boxes, these consideration sets. And those boxes are not very big. It's like 3 to 5 tools per box. And so how do you get into one? How do you get to be a top recommended CRM? I mean, HubSpot's already in there. Salesforce is in there. Maybe Pipedrive. If you're a CRM, it's very hard for you to just take those guys head on. So there are other ways that you have to think about. And a good formula to think about is jobs to be done. A consideration set is a job to be done for a particular type of company. So for instance, if I want to do heat maps and I'm an SMB, I'm a small business, Hotjar. It's in my box. Where if I would be mid-market, I might be thinking of Full Story, for instance. Or CRM for scaling companies, that's HubSpot. CRM for SMBs or small startups, maybe Pipedrive. I want to train specialist level marketing teams, that's CXL, right? So jobs to be done. So 3 ways to get inside that very limited consideration set, and when. So let's discuss this. So one is that is innovation. You're objectively better. You're doing something that nobody else is doing. So if people ask like, hey, what do I use for this? And you're the only one who does that, then congratulations. I mean, which product is an objectively better product? And there are very few. I mean, Google Search is an objectively better search engine than any other competitor. But let's think about CRMs or email marketing automation, or like a bunch of tools, categories where there is no objectively better tool that is obviously better than everybody else. It's like somebody's better for certain use cases, right? When Tinder launched, 10 years ago or so, the dating market was already plentiful. So they came out with an innovation, the swiping UX, and became big, right? And their two big competitors, Hinge and Bumble, basically copied Tinder and also became big. So innovation. Tesla was a category of one. Everybody bought Teslas. Now, of course, a lot of competition, and they'll need to start competing on brand just like everybody else. Second way to get big and get into that consideration set is through money. Through money. So collaboration tools, like project management tools. There's a 7 billion project management tools these days. Oh, it seems like it. Yet there was one tool that came out of nowhere and went into people's consideration sets. And that tool, of course, is Monday.com. And how did they get into our consideration sets? While seemingly on superficially, they're just like everybody else. Are they better than Asana? I don't think so. Are they better than ClickUp? I don't think so. Right? They're not worse, but they're also not better. There's just different UI for the same thing. And there's like teamwork, and this is an extremely competitive category, right? But what did they do? They outspent everybody else. There's this concept of excess share of voice. If you spend more money than the other people in your category, you will grow. This is category agnostic. So pay attention to this. Their revenue per quarter, 17 million, 21 million. And look at the line of sales and marketing expense per quarter, 26 million, 33. They always spent more money on marketing than was their revenue. And of course, you need a big fat wallet and VC money to pull this off. But they pulled it off. They literally bought their way inside into our consideration set, right? Maybe you can do it, maybe you cannot. The third way that is most available to everybody here can do this, is if you take a fundamentally differentiated position in the market. You are just different than everybody else. So like, let's imagine these are all category buyers, and these are Apple people who buy Apple phones. These are people who buy Samsung phones, right? Some overlap, not very much. LG started to compete with Samsung for the exact same crowd, and they got obliterated. Samsung kicked their ass so hard, LG is not making phones anymore, right? Basically. Or in CRM market. So these are HubSpot's customers. These are Salesforce customers. There's some overlap. If I wanted to build a new CRM, where would I go? I would go here. I would not overlap with these guys. I would go for a different segment in the market, be differentiated for a different use case, for a different part of the market. So if people ask, hey, what's a tool for this type of people who want to do this kind of thing? Boom, I win as a CRM. If you're in the same bucket with HubSpot, you're going to lose. They have more money. Right? Or Drift, when they launched to a market where so many chatbots, so many live chat tools, they never once said we're a live chat tool. They said, hey, this is conversational marketing. That just changed the way people think about it, right? So you carve out the new jobs to be done category. You invent the new thing, right? Klaviyo entered the big market of email marketing. They said, hey, we're email marketing for e-commerce, now worth more than $10 billion. Or ConvertKit, we're email marketing for creators, bloggers, musicians, etc. Now they're number one for that jobs to be done. Or Gorgeous said, hey, Zendesk and all these other tools were already huge. Gorgeous said, hey, we're going to be customer support for e-commerce. There was nobody occupying that place in people's mind. Boom, they're number one now. Or Winter, hey, what do you use to do message testing or to get feedback from target market? Winter is the only game in town, right? So you either compete on innovation or brand. And by brand, I mean your narrative, your positioning, your messaging. And you might not have enough money to win on innovation. You might not have enough money to win on marketing and outspend everybody else. But you can definitely win on brand, on your marketing, positioning, and messaging. Boom, 10 minutes. Here we go. Do we have time for a question?
I think we have time for a question. We've got sort of 1 minute or so. So has anyone got a question for Pep? Whack it in the comments. So let's try and use this time wisely. Otherwise, I'll try and have to think of one on the spot. Let's see. We got a delay. I mean, whilst we're waiting for a question, David Collier here says he always recommends April Dunford and a book on positioning. He said positioning is so simple but so hard.
Oh my God, so hard. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Here we go. I don't think that was a question. Here we go. Outspending seems easier than out messaging. Not really a question, a statement. I have a CRM. Which is the best option?
Oh, sure. In your opinion, Hitesh.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows?
Alrighty,
It depends on what you use. No, I
Find me on
think
Twitter or LinkedIn. I'll answer your questions there.
exactly. Good stuff.